statement on BVI Airways Audit and Consumer and Protection Act 2020 passed in the House of Assembly. These and more stories when 284 News returns.
There's a reason you get up on a morning. A reason you pick yourself up, start the day. Maybe it's sheer grit. Maybe it's your ethics. Maybe it's because you know people like you are waiting for people just like you. We all have our reasons, and for Republic Bank, that reason is you. Every little thing, every big thing. It's all about making a difference in your life. Because after 182 years, if it's one thing we're sure about, is that the difference is you. We're here to help.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Welcome everybody. It's Wednesday, June 10th, 2020. A beautiful day in the British Virgin Islands. I'm Ron Grant.
And I am Kyla Kanisha Forbes.
How are you, Kyla?
It is a beautiful day here in the BVI. Definitely looking forward to this edition of 284 News. So, yeah.
Indeed.
Also, Ron, we've been seeing a lot about staycations.
Yes, we've been speaking about it too.
Yeah. Our borders have been closed, and we're really trying to push that tourism product here in the BVI, just encouraging our residents to take a staycation or maybe two. So I want to throw to this clip of this staycation promotion.
Escape from the noise and stresses of the world. Indulge your senses. Rejuvenate your body, mind, and spirit. Rediscover our rolling hills, our turquoise blue waters, and glinting sand. Rediscover our history, your heritage, your culture. Rediscover your home. Rediscover BVI. Home, sweet home.
Rediscover the BVI.
Absolutely
I love that
beautiful
slogan simply because I think we are always here in the hustle and the bustle.
True.
And we don't really get to appreciate or BVI for what it is. Such a beautiful video just seen, and that's just a little bit of what the BVI has to offer. Yeah.
Indeed. Kyla, do you have a favorite island in the British Virgin Islands?
If I have to be biased, I definitely love Virgin Gorda.
Okay, mine would be Jos Van Dyke, White Bay particularly. It's just absolutely beautiful, but I would encourage your persons to support and enjoy nature's little secrets. We live where they vacation, so why not enjoy it? Now, getting into our newscast today, topping our newscast, the COVID-19 pandemic has severely impacted the survival of businesses, more so the micro, small, and medium enterprises, which have suffered heavy losses. The government of the Virgin Islands and the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, have now partnered to assist MSMEs within the restaurant industry. This initiative is part of the UNDP Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean's Economic Recovery Program. It will provide financial assistance of $40,000 to jumpstart 10 businesses in the BVI and equip them with the tools to transition from a face-to-face business model to a digital modus operation. Under the program, business owners may use the grant for a myriad of purposes, including a purchase of food and cleaning supplies to restart the business, the payment of employees, the procurement of containers to package foods, micro-degradable containers that is, the creation of websites if they do not already have one, or apps to facilitate online ordering, delivery and payment for food items, and the securing of financial management assistance to streamline operations. Micro, small, and medium enterprises make a significant contribution to the economy of the Virgin Islands. It is absolutely critical to the socioeconomic viability of the country that they remain operational throughout the shutdown of the global pandemic. The Ministry of Finance will ensure that the MSMEs retain employees, increase their revenue, and provide satisfactory services to their customers. UNDP is working to ensure that MSMEs have the resources and develop the skills to remain viable. Now, this initiative is also part of a package to support the BVI, which includes an economic impact assessment soon to be released, surge support to the capacities of the Ministry of Finance, and small private sector grants like this support to the BVI restaurants. Now, this program complements the government's stimulus package in response to the COVID-19. We are now in phase 2, which includes direct monetary assistance to MSMEs in the tune of $6.5 million. Anyone with media queries or any questions can contact Shania Leacock, that's SHANI.LEACOCK at UNDP.org, or 246-467-6007. That's the number. Essentially, Kyla, just about $4,000 each we're seeing being distributed, or pledged rather, to jumpstart businesses, particularly in the restaurant industry. They have taken a tremendous hit, even with the shutdown and then the reintegration of just doing deliveries. One of the things that we saw is that the gratuity for persons who are working, their tips that they would usually rely on, has been significantly reduced. So I'm happy to see that we're moving in this direction, particularly to our restaurant industry, because believe it or not, prior to the lockdown, a lot of people in the British Virgin Islands, they like to eat out.
That's true. That's true. I think this is something that we've really been keeping an eye on. The restaurant industry, although they have been able to reopen,
Yes.
Have really still been taking a hit.
I agree.
Simply because of you're not able to, especially when we were on curfew, persons were not able to dine in. So this initiative is especially important to see this injection into the restaurant industry. Now, as we move on, Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Marlon Penn, has challenged the government of the Virgin Islands to assist persons who are affected by the coronavirus pandemic, despite their eligibility. The government rolled out a $62.9 million economic stimulus package in an effort to stimulate the Virgin Islands economy. Allocations were made towards various initiatives which would assist persons affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Most notably, $10 million were allocated to unemployment, underemployment benefits. Persons have to first qualify for these benefits before any relief is granted. Social Security Board outlined the criteria for persons to qualify for unemployment benefits. To qualify, persons must have had insurable employment at least 1 year prior to the 30th of March 2020, have paid at least 13 of 20 contribution weeks immediately prior to the 30th of March 2020, and be actively seeking employment. Self-employed persons must have paid Social Security, NHI up to February 2020, and businesses' inland revenue contributions must also be up to date. Now, in the House of Assembly, Honorable Vincent Wheatley, he spoke about persons being disqualified from getting this relief package. Let's take a look at this clip.
Part of the stimulus package, one of the criteria was that persons should have been up to date with their contributions to Social Security, NHI, and inland revenue. And what we found is because a lot of persons are not up to date, which means that they are disqualified from getting certain things.
Yes, we heard it there from Honorable Vincent Wheatley, but Honorable Marlon Penn, Leader of the Opposition and representative of the 8th Electoral District, he pled with the government to find solutions to ensure persons that these persons who are truly in need to get the support they need despite their ineligibility. Hear what Honorable Penn had to say about this.
One of the concerns raised in terms of the eligibility through Social Security. I think that eligibility issue is something primarily that we have to have a discussion on, because you have persons who have been struggling between Hurricanes Irma and Maria just about COVID-19 to get employment. I know persons who've gotten employment 2 weeks before the shutdown and are told that they don't have any support because they're not affected by COVID-19 or they don't meet the eligibility, but they are infected by COVID-19. So how are we going to support those persons? And it can't just be through the district funds. We have to, and those are persons who are working prior to Hurricanes Irma and Maria and have made contributions. So we have to figure out how to support persons like that. Then you have persons who have been working with an employer, worked for many, many years. Employer has been taking out their contributions. Contributions have not been paid into Social Security, but the employee is now being told that they're not eligible. They can't get that support. These are real concerns. You know, we have to figure out, and we have to be in a streamlined way to ensure that the people who are truly in need of the support gets the support. And I know, Premier, once we sit down, we could discuss this and figure out a way to ensure that we don't burden the system at the same time, but ensure that people who really need the help gets the help.
That was the Honorable Marlon Penn in the House of Assembly, really pleading with the government to basically to help these persons, although they might not be qualified for these benefits. Two of the things that really came out of his comments, Ron, were the fact that jobs may not have been paying into the contributions. And this is something that we've been hearing about quite some time.
Indeed.
That employees are not able to receive relief simply because their contributions are not up to date, not because of faults of their own,
Correct.
but because of employers not paying into this. Also, too, he spoke about the fact that some persons were just probably catching themselves and catching their feet after Hurricane Irma. We have to realize that we were recently hit with such a devastation.
Recently, as in 3 years ago, but I understand.
It's
Yeah,
3
I
years
get
ago,
it,
but
yeah.
for some persons, they're only now just catching themselves, just
Completely
getting back
understand.
into jobs, and were unable to update these contributions. Of course, we know that the government is not necessarily trying to pit it against anyone
Of course.
specific. Of course not, but I think he's really pleading for the people because, as he said, it's a real concern.
I do understand wholeheartedly where the Honorable Minister for the 8th District and Leader of the Opposition is coming from, the Honorable Marlon Penn. However, I think this is a great example for the territory of the Virgin Islands, particularly business owners. We covered a story yesterday with the Honorable Member Vincent Wheatley where he spoke about disrespect, where he visited. Now, this is a totally different example, but as we look at labor reform, one of the things that we really have to be cognizant of, Kyla, I think, is making sure that measures are put in place for employers to make sure that their payments are being up to date. You cannot fault an individual who is working and their Social Security is coming out, but at the end of the day, when they get sick, they go down to the hospital and it's another story. It doesn't work like that. Protocols have to be put in place and measures have to be put in place that allows us to protect not only the employees, but the employers. And I think in this case, what we're seeing with the stringent measures that are put in place with the precautions, we're seeing that at the end of the day, more than likely in certain regards, it is the employees that are going to get the bad end of the stick because the employers have not either been paying or not interested in paying. And I think that this is something our Honorable Minister for Labor needs to look at and really reform the structure of it. You cannot, on good conscience, put someone in a tricky situation because an employee decided that they're not going to pay their Social Security. That's totally employer.
Yes,
that's
okay.
totally unacceptable.
Most definitely, and I definitely agree with you because on some ends, it's just some employers just being
Correct.
neglectful. But something that also came out of the House of Assembly, Honorable Wheatley, he spoke about the fact that, yes, we are looking at the fact that employers are not paying into NHI, not paying into Social Security, but for some persons, it's not necessarily willful. And he's saying it might be a bigger issue that they need to
True.
look at business sustainability.
Correct.
And really just looking at everything on a whole. I think right now is giving us a chance to really look at the processes and things that are happening and finding ways to basically rectify these
And
issues.
this is where stimulus comes in. Yeah.
Most definitely. Now, viewers, still ahead. Now, Governor Jaspert, he issued a statement about the BVI Airways investigation and the Consumer and Protection Act 2020 passed in the House of Assembly. All this and so much more when 284 News returns.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. this could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, Governor Jaspert, he issued a statement on the BVI Airways investigation. Now, Governor Jaspert, in his statement, said, and I quote, "I subsequently sought to discharge my duties fully in line with the timescale set out in Section 20 of the Audit Act in referring the report to Cabinet on the 23rd of April with the intention of it being brought to the House by the 7th of May. With the focus rightly on our response to COVID-19, this report has understandably taken a while to reach the point of being laid. But I am pleased that the report has now been laid before and discussed by the House of Assembly." End quote. Now, Ron, this is something we've definitely been hearing a lot about in the House of Assembly as it pertains to the time frame in which this report was brought to the House. Now that we have seen this report gone through proper processes and have been discussed in the House, the governor is now issuing his statement and updating the public of the actions in hand to address some of the concerns raised in this report. Governor Jaspert, he voiced his concerns as he realized that previous audit reports have highlighted similar failures as those listed in the BVI Airways audit. Some of these areas highlighted where there were some failures to follow proper procedures was in seeking, and these are just examples, was in seeking competitive options for contracts, in failing to adopt legal and other advice in the execution of a contract, and in weaknesses in financial and project performance management systems. These failures led to the loss of government's revenue, unfortunately. Governor Jaspert said, "I believe that this and previous audit reports show that there are fundamental deficiencies in our systems, practices, and procedures which are designed to protect public finances and ensure proper project management." Governor Jaspert said he will be following up with the Honorable Minister of Finance and all of the Cabinet to ensure that the systems are improved to address issues raised in this and earlier reports to ensure that new, tighter practices are adopted to further ensure full accountability and transparency for government funds. This should not be able to happen again, he said. The Commissioner of Police has already undertaken steps to launch a criminal investigation based on the contents of the report. The Commissioner of Police requested the appointment of an independent financial investigator expert. This request was supported by the governor, and the National Security Council have agreed to fund this request. Once the investigation has concluded, further investigations can begin, including in relations to any potential breach of rules and regulations by public officers. The Deputy Governor will lead on that work. Now, this all came out of the statement from Governor Jaspert about the BVI Airways investigation.
I'm sorry. Kyla, I find the governor's statements very interesting and rather convenient, as well as the commissioner's comments as well. We have a problem in the territory, and I think we essentially need to revisit holistically the way contracts are issued in the Virgin Islands. The governor in his statements saying that essentially this cannot happen again. Well, it's happened many times before, and that's the problem. The way we're issuing contracts in the Virgin Islands is not efficient, it's not protective of taxpayers' money, and it's not only a reporter, but a voting resident and a citizen of the Virgin Islands. It's annoying to see that at the end of the day, an audit comes out months, years after the fact. That's not how it works, guys. An audit is supposed to be authentic and timely. It's defeating the purpose. And then when you speak about accountability, you're really just talking. You're not putting action into play. And it's frustrating to see that both not only the Commissioner of Police in issuing, because a lot of times we hear investigations are ongoing, and nothing comes out of these investigations. So it needs to be a fruitful process of issuing contracts first and foremost
Right.
throughout the ministry, from the Ministry of Finance, so we can see a collective approach as it pertains to how taxpayers' money is being spent. Don't
And
come to me,
protected.
don't come
Yeah.
to me a year after and tell me you're doing an investigation. It happened a year ago. What are you going to do? You know,
True.
and then at the end of the day, what we find is that a lot of civil servants who may not very well be at fault, who may just be working and doing their jobs, come under heat.
Based on the processes that we have
Correct.
in place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you want to throw people under the bus. We're not taking sides at all, but I think that at the end of the day, it has to be relooked at, and that's the most important thing.
Most definitely.
Continuing on, the territory of the Virgin Islands, highly anticipated and very long awaited, Virgin Islands Consumer Protection Act 2020 was passed in the Virgin Islands House of Assembly on June 8, 2020. Leader of Government Business and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Andrew A. Foy, is moving a motion for the third reading for the bill and said, and I quote, "Today is a historic day in the House of Assembly and is a day that we all will remember, and all of our names will go down into passing of this Consumer Protection Act. It was 2019 when it came in, but the amendments will be 2020. Foy added by saying, and I quote, "This indeed is a good day for the people of the Virgin Islands and businesses of the Virgin Islands, and for the protection of the consumers and also for the protection of businesses." Leader of the Opposition and District 8 Representative and former Junior Minister of Trade and Economic Development, the Honorable Marlon A. Penn, seconded the motion, and in his statement he said, and I quote, "I rise to second the motion, and I also associate myself with the comments raised by the Premier. I think it is important that we have gone through the process, and this bill has passed through some strenuous situations at times. I think it is a red letter day that we have been able to accomplish this here this evening, and I also think to God be the glory, and to the people to be the glory for all the persons who worked on this piece of legislation." Now, Kyla, as we all know, the Consumer Protection Act has been a long time coming. Many persons have taken to social media in commending the government of the Virgin Islands on its ability to have the act finally passed. Local Virgin Islander Mr. Dean Greenaway mentioned in a Facebook post, and I quote, he said, "For years, politicians have been touting working for the people, but did absolutely nothing to protect the people they claimed to be working for. This administration must be commended for having the scrutin to do what administration after administration after administration after administration have failed to do. Passed the Consumer Protection Act on June 8, 2020. The BVI Beacon turned 36 on June 7th, and I began writing about the need for a consumer protection agency 35 years ago. Finally, an aspect of the country has moved forward, and it has been a long time coming because it wasn't a priority for politicians before." Now, Kyla, very strong statements by local Virgin Islander and journalist himself, Mr. Dean Greenaway. The bill is indeed an important step in strengthening and moving the economy of the Virgin Islands forward. But what exactly does this bill being passed means? Well, here are some facts. Though the bill has been passed in the House of Assembly, the bill first has to be scented by the governor of the Virgin Islands. This can sometimes take a while, particularly if he is not in favor, believe it or not, with certain things that is in the bill. Additionally, the establishment of the Trade Commission to bring the act into effect. It means both consumers, producers, and or suppliers have recourse under this legislation through the provisions of the Act and tribunal of sorting out issues. This includes defective goods and undelivered services, refund for airline tickets and other effects for unforeseen issues, protection against buying products with defects, protection against price gouging in the event of disasters or unforeseen circumstances like pandemics or hurricanes and the likes of. This may also include investigations into businesses to ascertain exactly what is taking place. For example, whether or not they are operating in fair trade. Now, all these areas and more would be administered under the guidance of the newly formed Trade Commission. The Trade Commission was passed just before the Consumer Protection Act. Once the bill is assented to and published in the Gazette, then the contents of the bill will then be in effect. Kyla, this is a major deal, a very big deal for us in the Virgin Islands. We've seen where tragedy after tragedy, persons have been just forced to pay because they have no choice. What I would like to see us come to a point in this country with is simple law and order. We have a lot of stuff in legislation, a lot of stuff in legislation that looks good on paper, but we fail miserably at putting it into effect. And this Consumer Protection Act, after all that it's gone through, I really hope to see us put it into effect, and the powers that be, particularly through the Department of Trade and the ministers, really enforce and protect the country and its consumers and the business with this act.
Most definitely. As you said, it's been a long time coming.
Yes.
It's definitely been something that the people of the Virgin Islands have been waiting for. In the comments that you read from Mr. Dean Greenaway,
Yes.
35 years. That is a very long time.
That's before my time, Kyla. That's
bit
before
way
our time.
before my time. Okay. But I think, as you said, we've come a step further with the legislation being passed. Also with the Trade Commission Act being passed. Now seeing, hopefully, the Department of Trade being into a statutory body
Yes.
as the Trade Commission. But hopefully we will see action coming out of this, really protecting consumers, producers, everyone under this legislation. So we're really hoping, and we'll see, and we'll be watching with a close eye to see how this is all rolled out.
Absolutely. Now, still ahead, we have much more. We're not sure if we're going to get to the time, but we'll be right back after this commercial break.
You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Viewers, welcome back. You're watching 284 News. Now on to our weekly arrest blotter coming out of the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force. Police arrested and charged Rudy Vanterpool, 27, of the Valley Virgin Gorda on 2 counts of carrying an unlicensed firearm, possession of a firearm with intent to put another in fear, criminal trespass, 2 counts of possession of explosives, and 2 counts of breach of curfew. He appeared before the magistrates' courts and was remanded to Her Majesty's prison and is expected to reappear before the magistrates' court. Police arrested and charged Roger Farrington, 40, of Bellevue, for assault occasioning actual bodily harm and throwing missiles. He was granted bail in the amount of $6,000 with 1 signed surety and is to appear before the magistrates' court. Police also arrested and charged a 16-year-old male for assault occasioning actual bodily harm. He was granted bail in the amount of $5,000 with 1 signed surety and is to appear before the magistrates' court. Police arrested and charged Kamal Fret, 34, of Great Mountain, for unlawful possession of a controlled drug and breach of curfew. He was granted bail in the amount of $5,000 on his own recognition and is to appear before the magistrates' court. Additionally, police arrested and charged Sasha K. Johnson, 27, of Longlook, for driving without a driver's license and driving when not covered by a third-party risk. She was granted bail in the amount of $5,000 in her own recognition and is to appear before the magistrates' court. Very short arrest blotter, and we are absolutely thankful for that. Sometimes it's a little longer than usual, but we're happy to see that our crime level, hopefully for this point, is concluded.
Most definitely. Indeed. But viewers, guess what? That's it for today's news roundup. Be sure to visit us at 284news.com and like us on Facebook at 284 Media and 284 BVI on Instagram as well as Twitter. Everyone, I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes.
And I'm Ron Grant. We'll see you guys again tomorrow as we deliver your daily dose of local, regional, and of course, international content. We're 284 News, coming straight out of the beautiful British Virgin Islands, your source for honest and impartial news right here on 284 Media. Have a great Wednesday, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Eco? 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 Everyone is speaking about eco-friendly products. We wanted to take the time to introduce the Eco Island brand. Eco Island is a brand dedicated to providing you with a reliable and cost-effective solution. Eco-friendly products for your restaurant, hotel, bar, office, and home. With takeaway trays, bags, cups, paper straws, cutlery, and cleaners. For more information, follow us at Eco Island 100. Are you a business owner? Business owners are very busy thinking on ways to grow. Wouldn't you like a vendor that makes life easier? P3 Paper Plastic Products offers 24-hour WhatsApp